The next generation researchers are called for the core of inquiry. My name is Josane Trujillo, and I'm standing tall for the truth. Assassin kills Kennedy Lyndon Johnson. Then with the death of Oswald, the prime suspect, the case is closed. That was the story you heard. Now hear the rest of the story. There were no federal laws broken with the murder of JFK on November 22nd, 1963. The only laws that were broken were the state of Texas laws with the murder of JFK. So why did all of this take place? President Johnson called for an investigation. However, which was the legal body to investigate this crime? It was the Texas Court of Inquiry, Code of Criminal Procedure, Chapter 52, Court of Inquiry. Courts of inquiry conducted by district judges. When a judge of any district court of this state acting in his capacity as a magistrate has a probable cause to believe that an offense has been committed against the laws of the state, he may request that this preceding judge of the administrative judicial district appoint a district judge to commence a court of inquiry. The judge who shall be appointed in accordance with subsection may summon and examine any witness in relation to the offense in accordance with the rules hereinafter provided, which procedure is defined as a court of inquiry. The first attempt at a Texas Court of Inquiry on November 26, 1963, in the office of the Attorney General, Texas Attorney General Wagner Carr holds a joint press conference with Herbert Miller, head of the Criminal Division of the U.S. Department of Justice. Carr calls for state and federal cooperation in the making public all known facts surrounding the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The original intention was that the state's gathered facts would be turned over to the FBI, and the FBI compiled facts would be made public after their completion. At the urging of Chief Justice Earl Warren, the inquiry was delayed indefinitely and ultimately was never held. In this battle between courts, who wins? Because the Chief Justice Warren, who had accepted the appointment from the president, doesn't want any part of the Court of Inquiry in Texas, he says, well, as far as I can see, there's no need in our doing anything that conflicts. Let's work together, said by Leon Jaworski. We did meet in the chief's office, and the chief addressed all his remarks to me and ignored Wagner Carr, but I would in turn talk to Carr in his presence and direct the question to him and so on. What we did is agree that we would not begin an court inquiry, but that we would be invited into hearings. We would have full access to everything. So why does Earl Warren shut down the Texas Court of Inquiry? On October 5th, 1964, Texas Attorney General Wagner Carr issued a report to Governor Connolly regarding the events of Dallas of November 22nd, 1963, and subsequent territory, titled Texas Supplement Report on the Assassination of President John F. Kennedy and the Serious Wounding of Governor John B. Connolly. A mere 20 pages, not accounting approximately 3,000 pages of supported documents. It was intended for the state to supplement, not to supplant, the report of President's Commission on the assassination of President Kennedy. Known unofficially as the Warren Commission after its chairman, U.S. Chief Justice Earl Warren Carr and his special counsel Leon Jaworski both agreed on with the commission. Harvey Oswald was the lone assassin. There was no conspiracy, either domestic or foreign. The Court of Inquiry was not held official coverage. Among the points that Carr made in his report were that the rule of law prevailed, that Texas afforded the accused Lee Harvey Oswald all his constitutional rights without mistreatment, and that our system of government survived the tragedy without any breakdown of public order, ensuring a peaceful transfer of power to Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson. We need a call for a petition to have a Texas Court of Inquiry now. No statute of limitation on murder, no real investigation ever took place. Most evidence against Oswald could not be used in court. Warren Commission report not probably conducted. Today, you will learn why we need to call for a Texas inquiry, the Texas Court of Inquiry, to finally learn the truth and obtain the facts. The conclusion. Ruth Paine gave them, following the assassination, much of the evidence used by the FBI. Warren Commission and the media to convince the public Oswald guilt came from Ruth Paine's garage, but only after Dallas detectives thoroughly searched the garage on November 22nd to 23rd. The incriminating evidence provided by Ruth Paine in the hours, days, weeks, and months following the assassination included a wedding ring allegedly left by Oswald on the dresser. This created the impression that Oswald knew he would not be returning to the Paines. A wallet containing $180 allegedly left on Marina's dresser. A letter to the Soviet embassy, a note in a cookbook which linked Oswald to the Walker shooting, an Imperial reflex camera allegedly used to take the backyard photos, a Minox 2 camera, serial number 227259, Mexico City postcards and literature. We have learned today that the Warren Commission was based upon these three faulty premises. The medical autopsy done at Besada based upon a lone shooter, Lee Oswald, and the Zapruder film. As we have learned today, all of these things were wrong. It was also based upon upon evidence that could not be used in court. First search of Ruth Paine's house on November 22nd was not legal. Why did the Dallas police search the house in Irving? The 1 p.m. phone call between the Paines at the 1 p.m. phone call. According to telephone company records, Michael Paine placed a collect call to BL3-1628. The Paine's phone number at 22515W 5th. From his number at work, CR5-5211, Ruth Paine received the collect call and began talking with her husband while the telephone operator remained on the line. The operator told the FBI the man on the phone said he felt sure Lee Harvey Oswald had killed the president, but did not feel Oswald was responsible. Michael Paine then told his wife, "We both know who is responsible." Was the 1 o'clock call to this phone a signal? Now the problems begin. The police arrest Oswald at 1:50 p.m. for killing President Kennedy, but do not have any evidence at all linking him to the crime. No problem. The police go to Ruth Paine's house and get the information they need to tie the two together. Captain Fritz tells officers to go search Ruth Paine's house, asked to search by name, not address. The Dallas PD do not have jurisdiction in Irving. Irving PD or Dallas County Sheriff Department would have jurisdiction. Why would you search a house that you already knew about in a city that wasn't yours unless they were part of it as well? The police knock on this door at 3 p.m. "Come in, we've been expecting you," would be what they probably said. Clearly, an admission of conspiracy: cannot give or grant rights to search other people's materials, cannot volunteer or give away other people's materials. This was done before Oswald was interrogated by a police deputy without jurisdiction. Buddy Walthers' witness statement. Deputy Harry Weatherd and Deputy J.L. Oxford go to a house at 25115 West 5th Street in Irving, Texas, and met some officers from Captain Wilfred's office. We arrived at the location and met Detective Rose and Adam from the Homicide Division of the Dallas Police Department. Upon getting to the residence, we were met by Mrs. Michael Paine. Upon showing our credentials and advising her who we were, and she stated, "It's about the president being shot and we've been expecting. Come on in." She enforced us that the lady standing beside her was Mrs. Oswald, Mrs. Mrs. Paine on to explain that Mrs. Oswald spoke only Russian. However, he would help interpret as she spoke English and Russian. Upon asking if suspect Oswald lived at this location, she advised that his wife and children lived there, but that Lee Oswald and his wife had been separated and did not live there. Mrs. Paine gave us permission to search the house or do anything we wanted to, and she also, through interpretation, gave us Mrs. Oswald's permission to do the same. Mrs. Paine then gave us a telephone number and stated that the number of Lee Oswald. However, she advised known an address where he was staying. At this time, I called Chef Decker and advised them of this. He crisscrossed this telephone number and gave us an address of 1026 2 North Beckley. He advised he would dispatch other officers to cover this address. About this time, Mr. Michael Paine came to this location. Mr. Paine works at a Bell helicopter plant. When told of the incident, Mr. Paine did not seem at all surprised and merely stated that he had just taken off and had come home. When he heard that the president had been shot, it was then learned that Mr. Paine had also been separated from Mrs. Paine and that he was living in Grand Prairie. Mr. Paine gave no explanation for coming to his house in Irving, Texas. Upon searching this house, we found tags of handbills concerning Cuba for freedom, advertising, seeking publicity and support for Cuba. Although also found with a set of metal file cabinets containing records that appeared to be names and activities of Cuban sympathizers. All of this evidence was confiscated and turned over to Captain Fritz of the Dallas Police Department and Secret Service officers at the City Hall. This is the Paine home layout, and on the right is the Oswalds. This is the couch where Marina was seated on, where Marina was seated on when the officers came, and this is the garage they searched. This is the interior of the garage. Things that were given to the police. Camera on the left, and Michael Paine's testimony at the Warren Commission. And your address, Mr. Paine, 2515 West 5th Street, Irving, Texas. However, Mr. Paine moved out of the house when he shared with Ruth in October 1962. Why did he lie here? Note the police report. Here, police detectives give permission from Mrs. Ruth Paine to search her house. Does she have the right to give permission to search Oswald's personal materials? No. In Chapman versus United States, 365 U.S. 610, 1961, this court ruled that the landlord's consent is insufficient. They cannot do this. Michael Paine's statement on the photos. Michael Paine and backyard photos, his testimony in 1963 to 1964, only acknowledges seeing a backyard photo at DPD headquarters on the night of the assassination. The photos would not be officially discovered until the following afternoon. This means that the backyard photo could not be used in court. Second legal issue, a wife cannot be forced to testify against her spouse. This type of spousal privilege has been recognized throughout history and predates our Constitution and even our country. It arises from the notion that married spouses are one entity and so are not competent to testify against themselves through their other, if not better half. Under this type of spousal privilege, one spouse cannot be compelled to give testimony against his or her spouse, who is a defendant in a criminal trial or the subject of a grand jury proceeding. The accused spouse may claim the privilege of the other spouse, may claim it on behalf of the accused spouse. The spouses must be married at the same time that the privilege is asserted. So an ex-spouse can be compelled to give testimony about a defendant to whom or she was previously, but is no longer married. She could not be used if he was alive. Third, today we have shown you that Warren Commission was not the proper investigative body. So please join us in calling for a Texas Court of Inquiry right here, right now. Sign the petition.